we've heard a lot of different opinions, obviously, thus far on this race in Alabama, but certainly let's say, weaknesses of the Republican candidate were an asset for the Democratic candidate. So how much can you really take away from this victory for Doug Jones?
Well, we saw a record turnout in Alabama. 1.25 million people turned out. You saw a record turnout among African Americans. Doug Jones outperformed Barack Obama. And African American women in particular were once again a linchpin to success, as they so always have been. And Doug was talking about not just the left versus the right, he was talking about right versus wrong. He was talking to business people. He was talking to factory workers. He was talking about the things that kept people up at night. And you know, Roy Moore wants to litigate the culture wars. And so what Alabama has taught me, I think, and it's on the heels of Virginia, New Jersey, and a bunch of other races, is that Democrats can win anywhere and everywhere as long as we have great candidates. We are organizing early and often, and that's what we did at the DNC in all of these races. We invested almost $1 million in Alabama alone, and we did it early on, and we did it inconspicuously because it was Doug's race, and we wanted to support him. And when we do that, and when we lead with our values and talk about the issues that people care about, that's how we win. And you look at 2017, you know, we've won special elections in Oklahoma. We've won special elections in other areas that are beat red. That's why we have what we call an every zip code strategy, because we feel that we can win everywhere as long as we, again, organize early, organize everywhere, field good candidates, and lead with our values.
Well, that's very inspiring, Tom, and I'm sure there's a lot to it. At the same time, you're going up against some candidates that a lot of people think were pretty weak candidates. And I must say, one of the things that strikes me is you have some divisions on the Republican side about exactly where the leadership is. I don't know where the Democratic leadership is. I don't know what the central Democratic message is that's coming forward, which surprises me, frankly, this long, over a year after a major defeat. Who is the leadership of the Democratic Party today?
Well, you know, you've asked two questions about message and leadership, and I'll tell you, the voters of Virginia knew the message because we talked about health care, and the overwhelming thing on people's minds in the exit polling in Virginia was health care. We believe that health care is a right for all and not a privilege for a few, whereas you know, Republicans believe that you can take health care away from anyone. And that's why, one of many reasons why Ralph Northam won there. You know, Doug Jones was talking about kitchen table issues. His line was #KitchenTable. He was talking about creating good jobs that pay a decent wage, making sure people have access to health care. And what the Democratic Party has been talking about, and whether it's leaders here in Washington or grassroots leaders, the women who've helped lead the resistance, what I'm inspired by is the energy all across America. We have leaders, we have mayors out there that are leading efforts. We have governors out there. We have grassroots activists. We have faith leaders in Alabama who helped Doug Jones to victory. I think what we have to do as Democratic Party is take this incredible energy that's out there and translate it into sustained electoral success. And that's exactly what we've been doing in 2017, building that 50-state infrastructure so that we can win everywhere.
I'm curious also, because if you look at the last few elections, we have had these dramatic swings from political poll to political poll. So when you're looking at sustainability, is moderation part of that? Is a moderate message part of that? Or do you get sort of more progressive and risk these continued swings every time we have an election cycle?
I think good leaders are good listeners. When I got into this job, I did a lot of listening. You know, out in Oklahoma, there were 3 special elections for state legislative seats this summer, and 1 Senate seat, 2 state House seats. And the Democratic candidate won all 3 races. And you know why? Because they went out and listened to voters. And one of the issues, and it was the #1 issue on people's mind in all 3 of those races, was education. There are certain school districts in Oklahoma right now where the kids go to school 4 days a week because their Republican leadership has starved the public education system. Same thing is happening, or similar things are happening in places like Kansas, where Sam Brownback thought that you could starve the beast and it would lead to great growth. And that's frankly one reason why last year, even though Trump won Kansas by 14%, Democrats picked up 14 seats in the state legislature. So when we're out there listening and when we are speaking to the issues that keep people up at night, whether it's health care, which is an issue everywhere, whether it's education and access to good quality education, whether it's climate, we're speaking to women across America. You know, we have said that there are certain issues, sexual harassment, that transcend politics. And when you have violated that sacred oath, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, there should be consequences. The appalling silence of the Republican Party on this issue, whether it's misconduct by Trump or misconduct by Congressman Farenthold, that appalling silence. And Roy Moore is I mean, what can I say?